My name is Jessie Carlton. I work in the Division of District Support. I have Samantha Engstrom on here with me today, and we're going to talk for about 20 minutes about the at-risk student verification process. This is something that districts have been doing for a while, and we're changing it up a little bit this year. Hopefully, we're going to make it easier, and it's going to be a better process for everybody. But we will jump in and start with this. Okay, so what is at risk? So Seek at Risk, this is a count. This is actually average daily membership of any of your students who have free lunch with a primary enrollment in the district. So funding is based on mainly, everybody connects funding to average daily attendance, and that's the biggest chunk of your funding. But we have other add-ons. Your December 1 counts an add-on, your EL students are an add-on, and at risk is an add-on. This potentially generates about about $630 per year per student. And so what we want to talk through today is how we make sure we maximize this funding, get all the tracking right, and how you verify that number with us so that it can pass over to the funding side of our house. I don't know if a lot of people know, I think we've been connecting DPPs and finance officers a little bit better over the past year, but the way this works is, you have a side in finance and operations that kind of counts and tracks your kids. And once we nail all of that down through SAR and at risk, we take all of those numbers and we pass them over to the funding side of our house, who kind of cuts the checks and uses those counts to put into their funding formula to generate the actual amount of funding. So the previous process for this, I don't know if it was you who did this in your district, but the DPP was kind of always the point of contact for Samantha. An at-risk ADM total was emailed to DPPs, and they kind of had to look it and check at it and verify it, look at some reports that we'll talk about in campus of where you can go to see. And then what would happen is it was a very manual process, and the districts would just email Samantha back and say, yes, that's the right number, use it. Or no, I need to work on that, it's not right in the system. And so they would go back and forth. So what we are attempting to do is we're attempting to kind of solidify that process and make it a little bit easier for everybody to track. What we have done, Laura just talked about the new SAR application that we used for a full year last year for SAR submission, growth factor submission, and January growth factor submission. We have now added another little tab up here at the top, little red arrow to at risk. And what this does is it will give you the ability to go in, see what KDE has for your at-risk numbers, and verify that at-risk number. Until the window is open, it is out there, it is live right now. If you go to that tab, you're going to see the message that just says, hey, the window's not open right now, it's not here. You have no data, there's nothing to do. But if you have access to that, feel free. We know that we've encouraged all DPPs and finance officers to have access to the system. We encourage superintendents as well, because they have to verify SAR and growth factor in there. There's lots of great reports and wonderful things to see in there. So it's out here. Okay, so here's what it's going to look like once we upload some data. On that at-risk tab, you'll be able to see your district, and then you're going to see two main numbers. You're going to see a student count, and you're going to see a total district ADM. We'll talk some more about these numbers and how they're pulled and where they come from. Then it's as simple as if you think, yes, this is a good ADM number, this is what we want to verify. It's grayed out right now, but at the bottom of your screen, in that little red circle will be a verify button that you click, you verify the number, it gets saved in the system, and you're good to go and you're done. We'll talk about that in a minute, because it's very important that you are sure before you click that verify button, but we'll talk about how make sure you're sure. Okay, so timeline for this. About mid-May, KDE is going to start uploading at-risk data into that SAR application. We'll do it weekly. DPPs, SAR application users, are going to receive an email reminder that says, hey, this number is in here. You need to go and look at it. Once you verify the number, you will no longer receive the emails. It's done. It's over. We won't harass you about it anymore. It's important to note that data is going to be updated every Monday. because we are pulling this from state edition. So if there's a number in there and you're like, I don't think that's right, we're going to talk about the things to check here in a minute. But if you go and make edits, it won't immediately be updated in that application. The next Monday, when we load the next file, your new number will come in. Okay, so you always want to make sure that new number is in the system before you click verify. All right, so a couple big things. Don't verify until you're ready, and do not verify at-risk data before the end of your district school year. Everybody is ending at different times, so we need to start importing into the system to let those early release districts have as much time as they can to get in there and verify. So you're welcome to go in there and look at it. It's still a great time before the end of the year, because we'll talk through some things that you'll be able to see some major red flags to see if that's what's going on. You can go in there, but just do not verify until your year is done. All of it must be verified though before June 30th. Okay, so how do I check this at-risk data, and how do I update it, and what's going on? So to view your district or school's at-risk ADM number, there's a Seek at-risk ADM report. That is the new pathway if you're using the new look. What that is going to do, that is going to pull every primary enrolled free student and their ADM total for the school year. I know that's kind of small, but if you can look down through there, you should be looking for anyone in your district who has been in your district who's had a free lunch record during the year. As you can see, like the second two on this report that I'm showing here on the sample, they've been there the whole year. You can see that there were, 175 instructional days, and they were enrolled for 175 days, and they were free for the entire year. Therefore, they're getting 1 on their ADM report. The other student either started 3 days late, left 3 days early, so you're getting almost 1 on that. But what this will be, it'll be a very long report, and it may be something, depending on how your district does this, you may need to parse it out, ask schools to look at it. If it's a smaller district, you may be able to look at it all together. But at the bottom of everyone's report, you will have that count of students and that total ADM that shows inside the system. So this is where I'm talking about if, I go into the system and I see that my student count is 274, like in this example, but my ADM is only 15. Well, I know I have something going on. I have more at-risk free lunch students than that. So I'm going to go back into Infinite Campus. I'm going to make some edits. I'm going to work to make some changes. But that number is not going to change in the application until the next Monday when a new file is pulled from your district to upload this. Okay, so what do I do when I figure out that a student isn't on that ADM report, that at-risk ADM report? How do I get them on there? If they're not showing, a couple things to check. First thing, check to make sure they are primary enrollment. We have had to adjust this report because some of the students who are in CTCs or locally operated tech schools, there are a lot of locally operated tech schools in the last couple years. They were getting double counted. Okay, so it's a primary enrollment now. So I would look at their enrollment to make sure it's primary, and then I would go to the FRAM record to make sure they have a valid FRAM record that has ran for the entire year, or if for some reason they came in late or it wasn't verified or they only became free at some point in time, make sure those dates are right. All direct certified students will be free, and any student who qualified via a household income form in your CEP schools or districts will be free. So that's what you're looking for. Okay, so some additional information here. Once that at-risk number has been verified, the number cannot change. Let's put it this way, it would be very difficult to change it. You're going to get a question on that page that says, are you sure? Are you sure you want to verify this? And the answer, make sure you're okay with that number, because like I said, once that number is locked down, you are not going to be getting the uploads every week. So if you verify and then somebody else starts doing the checks and says, oh, we missed 3 kids who came in March and we're supposed to be marked free lunch. Let me go inside Infinite Campus and update them. They will be updated in Infinite Campus, but your data will not be loaded again into the system unless you call, reach out to us, say, hey, I messed something up. I will say one of the things we are working on, it is, this process is in our SAR application for the first time this year. So there probably will be some kinks to work out as we go through. We're working to provide some of those reports and comparisons that are available over on the SAR and growth factor side. Um, I, I think those help with data validation. I think it's a very valid point. Some of the questions we've been getting about, waiting until afterwards to see those T-code comparison reports. It needs, that's the way that works, and it can be checked afterwards, but I'm looking in to see if there's, this is one number on at risk, and we're hopeful to get in the future, maybe at least on the screen where you verify, just the number, the at risk that was granted to your district last year. So then you can at least kind of have, every district has an estimate of where they should be. If I was 670 last year, I don't, I know to check if I'm coming in at 900 or coming in at 3. So I think putting that number on the screen would hopefully be helpful. This year, if you want to see that number, I've put a link here in the presentation. If you go to our Seek and Seek Payments webpage, there'll be a final data spreadsheet. And on that final data spreadsheet, it'll have your at-risk number. And that will be the number that was verified by your district last year. All right. I think I am to questions, and then I have one more slide here at the end and a couple of other points. But it looks like we do have a question that's saying, will the DPP be the only one who access to select the verify button? If Laura is on, I'm going to ask for her help because she's the expert in the SAR system and how it's working right now. Laura, I think anybody that they tell us to give access to in the system, do they have full access to hit all buttons?
If they're assigned as a district user, then they'll have that access. So that could be like your DPP assistant or anybody who has access already.
Okay. Is there another role other than district user?
Finance officer, superintendent.
Okay. And so those 3 options, yes, are all going to have access to that verify button. So that's one of the reasons we're kind of being,
will not.
Okay. The finance officer will not.
They have view only.
So, yeah. Okay. Finance officer has view only. So if there is someone, utilizing this other than the DPP that they've put in there, they're going to be put in there with that district user role, and they will have access to that verify button. If that becomes to be a problem, we'll see if we can expand it out. I'm hoping it's a simple enough system and process that DPP or whoever can log in and say, hey, this number is, 670. Let's, can I verify, work with some people in the district? Is this a number that I can verify before anybody is just granted access and verifying that button? Okay, so what is the path via the old look for at-risk verification? So if you're in, I'm guessing they're asking about the old look of IC. If you're in the classic look of IC, you're going to go to Kentucky State Reporting, KDE Reports, and then the name of the report is Seek at Risk, ADM. That's always available in Infinite Campus for you. You can start looking at it and cleaning it up now. We actually encourage you to start looking at it and cleaning it up now. It will help, especially if you do have one of those, big issues of something that has been missed. I know that several people have moved over to Mosaic and the new statewide system there. Just make sure, take a quick look at it. Make sure everything is lining up correctly where it needs to be. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and go to my next slide, which is kind of just an overview of some of our district support attendance staff. You've heard from Laura earlier today. I talked, Samantha's been on here with me. She's going to be your contact for at risk. Josh Whitlow is going to be your contact for all things calendars. I do have a calendar note. Edie, I guess I'm good to go ahead and expand into a couple of other things because I have 4 or 5 minutes to give. Am I okay for that?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Bonus time.
Bonus time. There you go. I feel like we need a little banner or something. So Josh is the person you're going to be working with on calendars and calendar submissions. We've had a little snafu with calendars this year. If you're normally the person who submits and updates calendars, you know that like clockwork, we have normally opened the window for original calendars on April 15th, and we've kind of had to stutter step a little bit this year. There was an issue getting the ACT dates to us and into the system, and that those ACT dates have to be on your original calendar for us to approve them. So we received the ACT dates, I believe, yesterday. So we are working with our programmers to get all of that updated and into the system where you submit calendars. We are hopeful for the end of the week or Monday. We've been told next Tuesday at the very latest, but we're working hard on our end to try and get everything updated. When that is updated, you will get an email from Rhonda Devine. I know everybody is used to hearing from Rhonda on our student tracking and data side. The DPPs are used to hearing from Rhonda. She'll make sure as soon as that is open, as soon as that is available, you can start submitting those calendars because we know you need as much time as you can get. The date for that isn't until June 30th, but we know you want those in. So we're trying to work as hard as we can to get that updated. Still got a few minutes. Rodney Bennett is on here, listed as a contact. Rodney is also your contact for all things DASAR. If you have a new school, if you have a question about how to put that in, if you have a change to your school, if you have a change about, properly putting in some G codes, Rodney is your contact. I know a lot of schools and a lot of districts have started new A8 virtual schools. So if you're wondering how to put those into the system, we do recommend that if you have questions about virtual schools, you either reach out to Dr. Marty Park or Ben Maynard to make sure you know what path you want to take on that. But once you know I need a virtual school, Rodney's your man that you talk to get that rolling through DASAR. We then have 3 contacts, Ruth Fritz, Sasha Reinhardt, and Becky Walsh. They are your field staff. Ruth is in Western Kentucky, Sasha is in Eastern Kentucky, and Becky is in Central Kentucky. They will be working with you also on your calendars as they're coming through. They will be reviewing them, helping you process any errors and get where you need to be with calendars. So we have everybody's contact numbers and emails there. Feel free to reach out to any of us. I think the only other message looking around here that I have received that we want to make sure we get a plug-in for on the student tracking and data side is for the funding gap audit report. It's very important. It will help you with some of your home hospital errors. It'll help you with getting ready for SAR. It'll help maximize that funding and make sure you have everything you need in there for your funding. It'll show you where the holes are. It looks at not only those in-seat students, but it also checks those virtual and performance-based students to make sure your classes are the length they need to be and that you're getting, your full funding for those students. So I think looking around, those are the last. Just to ask again, you did say ACT test dates has to be on the new calendars to submit, correct? That is correct. That's why we've been waiting to open the new calendar. There are 3 potential ACT dates where you can give the junior ACT next year. We've just received those dates. We'll code it in to make sure your original calendar has one of those dates on it listed as the ACT date. Josh has piped in again with for performance-based and seat time on that funding gap report, the magic number is 93% or higher. So that's what you're looking for to make sure you're maximizing that funding. So I think I have hit my 11:50 time slot.